Hello there and welcome back to my channel, or welcome for the first time if you're new, for a brand new video and something slightly different to what I usually do and have done in the past. Usually I review Doctor Who episodes or make videos about them, but I thought I'd try my hand at a bit of product reviewing because it's not something I've really done before and not something I've been able to do before because for the best part of the last 2 years I've been without a proper camera. But that's changed recently. I've got a brand new one and I thought I'd put some use reviewing a recent pickup just today. The 13th Doctor's TARDIS, a sort of flight control TARDIS equivalent. It's not flight control TARDIS, but it's that sort of thing from Character Options in scale with the 5.5-inch figure line. This was due for release at the end of this month, at the end of February. For some reason that's not been imparted, it's kind of been released earlier than that. It's trickled out. I think Forbidden Planet started sending them out for people who've pre-ordered them, and they've also started to trickle out in stores too, which is where I got mine from, a Forbidden Planet store. Just lucky to find it, heard they were out, thought I'd take a look, and yeah, there it was. And I'm very pleased to have it and to share my thoughts on it with you in this video. So I'll try not to bore you too much with the packaging, but this is the box it comes in, missing the insert. Yeah, $27.99, what a rip-off, really. I mean, it retails at $24.99, so that took me a bit by surprise when I saw it in the shop, but hey, I'd gone there to buy it. I wasn't going to turn away with that one. So yeah, the box uses the style guide that's become familiar to us as the kind of classic series style guide with the B&M 3-figure sets and TARDIS sets we've had in recent years. Previous 13th Doctor merchandise, well, namely just the 13th Doctor figure and the big doll and the sonic screwdriver as well, didn't use this style guide. They kind of used a yellow and blue style guide instead. Not quite sure why it's changed, but hey ho, I suppose that was a bit childish, the yellow and blue one, and this is quite nice instead, really. There's the blurb. If you want to read that, pause it, but I don't suppose you do, really. And here is the insert, the kind of backdrop to the TARDIS. So it's harking back to that moment from the Ghost Monument when the 13th Doctor is reunited with the TARDIS for the first time. Got this image from that episode at the back there, the kind of South African mountain, and the sort of reflection of the TARDIS just there as well on the base. And turning to the product itself then, yes, this is the 13th Doctor's TARDIS. I think it's fair to say it looks recognisable as the 13th Doctor's TARDIS, even though this is just, in essence, a classic series mould with a few alterations. This TARDIS was originally going to be a brand new mould. It was prototyped as such, and there was even an image of it that went around a while back. And then basically, due to a lack of retailer interest, we ended up with this instead. There's a nice new roof piece on the top, which is very nice to have, which is more screen accurate, and the lamp as well, which I'll talk about in more detail. But essentially this is, yeah, a kind of a hybrid or a Frankenstein's monster sort of TARDIS. The classic mould, painted the nice new bluey green colour, which is screen accurate obviously, and with the nice details on, such as the Please Public Box sign, which is screen accurate, and the Please Telephone Pull to Open sign with the black background and white text, and they've even put the handle on the left hand side as well, which is a nice touch. Again, that's screen accurate. But because this is a reused mould, there are other things that are not quite so screen accurate. So most notably, it doesn't have the notches at the top, in the top corners, which kind of separate that little section off from the rest of these corner pieces. It's not got the patterning on the windows either, and then as well it's not as fat or as wide as the actual prop. It's a lot narrower because that's what the classic series TARDIS is, and the classic series TARDIS mould was. The new series TARDISes have always been a bit fatter. Yeah, just to prove that, this is the 12th Doctor's flight control TARDIS here from a few years back, noticeably wider, and that's because it was on screen as well, but on screen the 13th Doctor's TARDIS isn't this narrow, it's wider. So, you know, it's not screen accurate in that sense, I guess. But then actually, I quite like that. I quite like the fact it's narrow, because I think generally the TARDIS, both in toy form and prop form and wherever else, looks nicer when it's slightly narrower and slightly taller than it is wide. So actually, I'm not too up in arms about the fact they've basically just reused a mould for this. Yes, it's not exactly screen accurate. There are certain details that they could have included if it had been a brand new mould, but they couldn't include because it was this cutback reused mould instead. But I think it's come off fairly well, and as I say, I prefer this narrower look, so it's a win-win situation really. Turning to this roof piece in more detail then, it's got this interesting sort of patterning on the top. I'm assuming this is kind of screen accurate to whatever patterning it is. I don't know if it's meant to be like concrete or something, but it's not the wooden texture that we've seen before. It's kind of got these very distinct areas of light and dark, kind of shinier parts and more matte parts. And then this new lamp piece on top as well is very nice. Great to have that screen accurate. If it had been just, you know, an old TARDIS lamp, if that part in particular had been reused, then I think that would have been a bit of an issue, because this is a nice new distinctive lamp to what's been seen before on screen. So I think they kind of had to include that, and I'm glad that they did. Now, unlike the other new series TARDIS toys, which have featured a printed backdrop of the TARDIS console room in the background, just, you know, to make it screen accurate and a nicer toy, unlike them, this doesn't feature an image of the 13th Doctor's TARDIS interior, just purely down to the fact that it's a classic series box, and the classic series mould wasn't built to have a backdrop inserted in, just because the classic series TARDISes in general didn't have that. So that's a bit of a downside, but you can just print off your own and stick it in. And actually, I quite like that element of this because, you know, it's one thing to have the TARDIS there, you know, delivered to you, all ready and with all the pieces in. It's another to kind of actually have that sort of construction element and to kind of, you know, that DIY sort of thing where you've got to print off an image and fit it in yourself, which is what I have done. I'll just show you here, and I think that looks alright, you know, if I do say so myself. I just printed it on photo paper, so it's nice and glossy and shiny and bright and saturated, and I think it looks just as good as any other official backdrop, really. As I say, I did make this myself, but other people have used the very same image to make their own, and they've actually posted templates online. So on the Doc2 site merchandise guide, there is one, and Al Duar as well, who is the head of toys, Doc2 Toys at Character, has posted one on the Gallifrey Base forum. One other key difference is that, unlike the recent B&M TARDISes, which haven't included light and sound effects due to them just being budget TARDISes and to keep the costs down, this TARDIS does have light and sound effects. So this isn't just a moulded in battery compartment, it's actually removable with a screw, and there's a speaker behind this grille here. And similarly on the base then, it's not just all smoothed over like the B&M TARDISes, there is the button and the switch here to turn it on. And the TARDIS, when you plonk it down, when it's on, lights up with a nice new blue light on top, as opposed to the white ones we've seen before, and makes the materialisation sound. And then similarly, if you lift the TARDIS up and it is on, and you fly it away, it makes the dematerialisation sound. Now ultimately, just like the printed interior backdrop piece, if you've got this TARDIS on display, you're a collector like me and it's on the shelf, you're not actually going to notice whether it's got the light and sound effects or not, because you're not going to be lifting it up and down, you're not going to have the light on, it turns itself off after 5 minutes anyway, just because of safety and electricity usage and all that sort of stuff. So, whilst I can see, yeah, that some people have been disappointed with the recent B&M TARDISes not having the light and sound effects, it's not bothered me that much. It's nice to have them back here for this TARDIS, especially given it's the current TARDIS and it's a toy potentially for kids as well as collectors. It's nice to have them there. Some of the B&M TARDISes, you know, have felt a bit plasticky, have felt a bit lightweight, have felt, you know, not very durable. This, because it has the electronics inside and the speaker and everything, and these light and sound effects, it just feels a bit more weight. You know, I suppose you're getting a bit more for your money as well, which is always good. And just to finish off, here is the TARDIS alongside some of the other ones released in the range. Over here we have two of the B&M ones, the 4th Doctors from Robot and the 5th Doctors from the Cadres and Rosani, and then the 12th Doctors here as already mentioned. And I think when you've got them all lined up like this, you can fairly easily tell the similarities and differences. You know, you can tell it's not very similar to this other new series box, and it's fairly similar to these classic series boxes. But then as well, I think it doesn't look too similar. I think the roof piece and the stickers set it off quite nice in the colour as well. And yeah, I think overall it's a fairly good reuse of that classic series mould. It would have been great to have the original mould, you know, that would have been fantastic, and for it to be slightly bigger in line with this other new series TARDIS and the other ones released. But at the end of the day, it's not a massive issue to me. In fact, when you put the 13th Doctor figure next to this TARDIS, I don't think she looks out of place at all, really. I think because generally she is quite a small figure compared to other ones we've had, like the massively tall 12th Doctor, I think they look perfect with each other, to be honest, in terms of size and proportion. So overall then, this TARDIS I think is pretty good. With any toy there are going to be cutbacks, it's not going to look exactly as it appeared on screen. Even with that original flight control TARDIS, there are things about that, I'm sure, that don't quite match its on-screen appearance. And this is no different, it's just a bit more noticeable because it's a classic series mould that's been repurposed. It does the job perfectly well, it looks nice next to the 30th Doctor figure, and it doesn't look too out of place alongside the other TARDISes either. And just generally I think, yeah, if you're a fan of the range or the new series or both or whatever, I would definitely pick this up. Maybe wait for it to come down in price a bit. As I say, I paid 28 quid for this. Maybe wait for it to come down to 20 quid if you're still a bit unsure. But yeah, I think overall I would recommend this. You know, it's not perfect. It was never going to be. It was always going to be a compromise, reusing that old mould. But I don't think it's come out too badly for it at all, really. It looks half decent. Yeah, it's not a bad replica of the 13th Doctor's TARDIS, by any means, even if it is a reused mould. As I said at the start, this is my first time reviewing any sort of Doctor Who product, really, certainly in recent years, so please let me know if I've done a good job in the comments and if you enjoyed it, and if you'd like to see more of this sort of thing in the future from me on this channel, and I'll perhaps look at the other 4 figures to be released in this line later this month. You never know, that might be quite a nice thing to do. Otherwise then, thank you so much for watching, as ever, and I'll see you soon for some more new videos. So thanks for watching once again, and goodbye for now.